Bullshit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
Hey, Gumby, what's up, man? Neuro, what's up, brother? I believe it's time. Just stopping by. Okay, man. Dude, I appreciate you, bro. What is this? All right. All right, dude. Thanks for stopping in, man. You know I appreciate you, boo. It's time to open the Jocko. Yeah, man, it was always a good time when I get to see you, dude. Always appreciate it. Hey, Viper. Happy Sunday. Hey, Viper, thanks for coming online, man. We will get started here in just a minute. We're going to work on revamping the plugin system for the Mythic MCP server, because I don't like how it was implemented. We need to make it more extensible. Yeah, it's been a fun project. So we needed a MCP server to talk to the command and control server, and this is a little bit of a vibe code test because we're trying GitHub's spec kit to do it. So we're letting Claude write the whole thing, but we're doing it with spec-driven design using GitHub spec kit to try it. And so far, it's doing a pretty decent job, but it didn't do a great job implementing the plugins. So that's what I was just taking a look at here before we get started. In fact, now it's time to get started. I hope this works. Let's see. Ah, no, it grabbed the wrong screen. It grabbed the screen monitor. Yeah, it does that sometimes. Hang on. Let's see. Hang on. Let me restart this. Stand by real quick. I probably should just go ahead and force restart it each time. Hey, there we go. So, first off, happy Sunday, everyone. Hope y'all are doing great today. I had a pretty chill day. Unfortunately, we were going to go out to a motocross track so Agent Zero could get some practice before the next race. Unfortunately, he busted his finger on the wall last night. So I had to go take him to the doc in the box. They checked it out. Nothing broken, but he injured it pretty good. It's all swollen up. So we did not get to go riding today. So D. Cooten, I could take a look at it, but truth be told, I'm not a developer. I am doing this for fun as a hobby. I'm a professional penetration tester and red teamer. So we're doing this for fun and no profit. Truth absolutely be told. Yeah, little dude's fine. It was a bummer because there's a really cool motocross track that's about an hour from our house. And so we were going to head out there to go hit it up. And we don't get to go there very often, usually at most once a month, because for the most part, the dirt bike riders don't want to ride with the ATV riders. So because of that, we usually work out something with the owner where all of us ATV chuds can go out there and ride. And it's been working out pretty well. This just happened to be one of those Sundays and he busted his hand last night. So the profit comes later. The profit really is just from learning. Okay, I don't get how any of this is. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the code for the Apollo plugin. Oh God, my mouse wheel. So this mouse has inertial scrolling to it, and sometimes it doesn't quite stop. So it starts scrolling through all the tabs here. Let's see. So here's our parameter models. So after we get all of these going, here's our tool handlers. Shell handler, PWD handler. Okay. Band, what's up, dude? Happy Sunday, man. But yeah, Agent Zero's doing just fine. He's got his finger up in a splint to keep it there. It was really swollen too. It was like double the size of like all of his other fingers. You know, he's 7, so he doesn't have big hands anyway. But that one was just like a little sausage, poor fella. And he was running through the house and he banged it on the corner of a wall. And the wall won. It was wall 1, Agent 0-0. As far as the score went. You know what? Actually, I was thinking about one more thing. I think I want to leave the plugin handler in place for now because what we need to do is we actually need to do some proper integration testing. So what we've got, let me clear all this out real quick. Here is we've got our MCP server set up, right? And then we've got our C2 server up and running, right? So these two are communicating just fine. And then what we've got is we have test box number 1 over here. So that's our Linux box, and then we have test box number 2 here, which is going to be our Windows box. So this one is Linux, this one is Linux. So Linux, this one is Windows. So what we need to do is we need to get a kind of out of band signal to these boxes where the payloads can get uploaded and executed so they can be tested, right? I'll worry about setting up the Apache server later. Maybe we'll do that tonight. But I think that's the most important thing is then we can actually see, okay, are the plugins at least working? Then we can go through and we can refactor them into something like a JSON or YAML format, so that way we know how to format all of those things in there. Yeah. And it wasn't even like a full hot dog finger, Gumby. It was just hot dog knuckle. It was like just this one knuckle right there. It's just boosh. So poor kid, he was not going to be able to ride his four-wheeler today. He hasn't learned the 3-finger grip, right? So small tip from all the years I did martial arts and jiu-jitsu and everything is when you're grabbing, really it's these last 3 fingers that actually have all the strength. You do have some in your index finger, but really your index finger is kind of more for directing. These last 3 are for more for squishing and smashing. So if he had learned that, he probably could have gotten through the day, probably not going his full speed, but he could have got some seat time. He hasn't really learned that yet. So wasn't even going to try it. I had to text my my father-in-law and tell him, hey, yeah, we're not going to be able to make it. But he's doing all right. He had a good day today. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is what I want to do now is we'll work on setting up something for this right here. I can think of a bunch of ways to get the payload over to the Windows server. Really, I think the simplest way is to just... I don't want to set up Impact yet. We could go set up something like NetExec and just have NetExec upload it. Let me go grab that real quick. Let's go take a look at that real fast here. NetExec upload file. Yeah, I was pretty sure it had a file upload function here. So this is all for FTP. No, let's get it installed and we'll go tinker with it. Because then what we can do is, as part of the integration testing, is we can have it do that. Let's see. On Kali, that's not where we're doing it. We could install it with pipex. Do I even have pipex on this machine? Hey, I do. Okay. So in that case, let's just go set up NetExec real quick. And then we can use NetExec to do the upload to it. Let's see. I don't know if I even have Le Python. I don't. Oh, but you know what? I have pipex, so that's fine. I think I can just do pipex ensure path. Yeah, there it is. So pipex ensure path. Okay, so that's already in the path there, so we should be good. So let's go grab. Actually, I don't want to trust these instructions. I know they look correct, but I think I just want to go grab the instructions actually off the GitHub repo. Yeah, here we go. Let me grab this real quick. So we'll go ahead and get NetExec set up, because then we could just set up something for integration testing to have it go instantly upload it to a directory and not worry about it. Because that's going to be one of the main functionalities we're going to need is connecting to the server. We pretty much got done. But then file handling and payload generation, we really need to test those out. And you can't really do that in a vacuum. Smashing my hand like stuff like that is now a daily thing. Ooh. Usually, yeah, so there was something I was reading about that. If people with ADD or ADHD, I don't remember which one, but apparently they have more trouble with proprioception, which is your movement of your body in space, which I always thought was really funny because for all the years I did martial arts, which was about 7 years, I feel like I should be fairly comfortable moving through space. But there's still plenty of times when like I'm walking through the house and I misjudge something and bam, hand or foot or whatever just runs into a wall. Yeah, and so I'm pretty sure I do as well. It's just I try to not let it get in the way of anything. Okay. So let me go grab this real quick. Oh wait, that was not what I wanted to do. Let me back this up. Back that thing up. So this is using FTP. Where's our SMB stuff? SMB. SMB protocol. Here we go. Command execution, get input files. There we go. Okay, so we tell it upload a file and then the target path of where we're going to put it. Okay. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So source, destination, excellent. All right, because what we can do is we'll just wrap this into the integration tester to have it pull down the file over into temp and then dump it over into the machine right there. Let's go let's go test that real quick. Let me pull up the test box. Let me change this background because this is gonna. Now I'm gonna leave this alone because last time I changed the background, I usually like make it all gray. It just made it ugly, ugly as sin. All right, this is just a blank Windows 11 install. I need to do some modifications to it. Show file extensions. There we go. All right, now what I want to do. So let's go to users, and then this should be local user. Yeah, actually, we could just drop it. We could drop it right in there. I tell you, we're going to put it in the downloads folder. So we'll copy that. Let's just do a test upload of it real quick. So, what do we have in here? We'll send it Apollo. Why not? So let's do NXC. We'll do SMB, and then I believe it's the IP address. Yeah, IP address, user, password, easy enough. So that one should be 10.5.10.52. Username, local user, and then let's clear this out. Password should just be password, I think. And then we'll do tac put file. Put file, and then what we'll do is we'll put in Apollo, and we'll put that into here, but we need to wrap this thing up. So we'll go to users, downloads like that. Do I need to give it just the destination, or I gotta give it the file name too? Let me see. We do. So we'll call this apollo.py. Hello, Peaches. Okay, cool. So that looks like the upload worked. Hey, there we go. So we do have our apollo.py. Peaches? Oh, that was you? Oh, okay. I heard a weird sound and I thought it was Peaches. No, it was Sock in the other room moving something. All right, cool. So that upload works. Excellent. So now what we can do is we can use NXC to get the Apollo payload over to that box to be able to test it. Let me grab Notepad real quick because I want to save that command. Because now what we could do is we can go generate the payload that we need. Gotta set the mouse off. There we go. And we can just use this command to upload it over to that machine. So this way we'll actually be able to see like, okay, are we generating payloads? Are they working? Are we actually getting what we need in here? So that one's really easy. The other one we'll need to do is we could just do an SCP real fast. So SCP should be real easy. Ooh, what do we do here? We're going to SCP Apollo, and we're going to send that to, I think it's Debian at 10.5.10.51. And then we'll put that into home. Debian, I think, is the default username. Pretty sure, yeah. Home Debian downloads. And it should ask for the password. Password, I think, should just be password. No, I think it's Debian. There we go. So let me go check that box, because then we'll have an out-of-bound way we can just get this stuff up to those machines. Why is it not showing up? Didn't it say it uploaded it? Oh, there's no downloads directory. That's weird. Okay, well fine, we'll just make one real quick. Downloads. Now let me go try it. What was it? Debian. There we go. Cool. So that should be our file transfer should be working. Excellent. So now what we can do is we can actually test our file handling functions we built into the MCP last night, and then we can have it go through and do an out-of-bound copy up to the machine, execute those, and then we can see it register that the callbacks came back. Just turn on dark mode. I guess we could do that. Make it a little bit less of a flashbang. Dark mode. Doesn't change the background though. God, I hate Windows 11. Whoever thought React in... that's better. Whoever thought React as your primary interface to Windows was a good idea is a flippin' moron. And I hope it burns when they pee. No, not really. I say that. But they are a moron. I don't take that part back. Alright, so let's do this real quick. Alright, we got our to-dos in here. How do I want to do this? Because I do need to spec this out. We just need to what's your take on recall? That was the dumbest idea ever. And you know what? So something that's even more hilarious, right? So Microsoft had a very stringent demand because they had so much. And this was not, you can't even call it AI slop. This was just slop. This was like old-fashioned human slop. In Windows 11, they had a very hard requirement that you needed 16 gigs of RAM to run Windows 11. And now they're talking about laptops defaulting back to 8 gigs of RAM because of the RAM shortage. Way to go, Microsoft. You done played yourself. I guess they did not learn their lesson with Windows Vista. Nobody wanted an Arrow in Vista. Nobody wants all the crap they've got in 11. All right. We need to plan this out. I'll tell you, we're trying to do everything with the good old spec kit. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to, nope, not like that. So we're going to specify some updates here. So specify adding additional integration testing for, let's see, generating download, let's say, let me get really specific with it. Generating payloads, downloading payloads, and payloads, uploading them to a target system, target systems for execution. And what else? Verifying callbacks. Actually, this is a lot. Verifying callbacks. Make sure they're coming back into the system. And executing test commands. These systems should be configured from a configured. I don't know what kind of file. We could say a YAML file. We'll just say from a file in the repository. Yeah, we'll say a YAML. We'll go ahead and specify it. We'll say YAML. Even though I really hate YAML. Everybody seems to love YAML. So the idea, though, Gumby, with recall was that stuff should stay on your system. However, I don't know the exact directories. I think they were excluded from that, where Windows usually wants to like Windows 11 in particular, wanted you to really integrate up into the Microsoft cloud services, right? Which I hate. Nix that. So, anyway, what they're looking at is, I don't think anything from recall went up to that cloud service. I believe that was kept in a location that isn't typically synced up to Microsoft's cloud. So it's not technically spyware. However, it is a big load of crap. Hey, Legacy, what's up, man? And Fumi Max, thanks for coming online, man. Welcome in. I hope you're all having a fantastic Sunday. So, for anybody who's new, what we're doing is we're vibe coding up an MCP server to connect to a command and control server called Mythic. We just set up spent all of last night reworking the lab, getting some test systems up, doing some care and feeding and maintenance. It had some tech debt and system rot, and we got that all up. So now what we're doing is we want to do more integration testing. All of the stuff being built for the MCP server is being done by Claude Code, but we're doing it with GitHub's specify or spec kit. I think they call it spec kit repository. So it should be a complete spec-driven design development flow. We're trying to see how far we can push that and taking a look at the code and seeing what it's doing. So far, it has followed the letter but not the spirit of some of the things, namely a plugin system. So what we're going to do is we're going to get it where it can do live test, integration tests to the Mythic server, to those test box, make sure that callbacks are happening when the payload executes on the box, it calls back and we can interact with it successfully. Once that's good, then when we have that testing suite done, then we're going to actually move up to building the plugin system. Because Mythic, which most people haven't seen, so that's why I'm showing you this. Let's see. Did I close it? No, here it is. Mythic is a framework, and people open source and produce all sorts of different goodies for it. So we're trying to see if we can get it to craft a plugin system that makes working with all these various agents and everything really simple, so that whoever builds the payload or whoever builds the agent can just make a real simple YAML file that defines all of the commands, everything in there, puts them in there, and then that YAML file can be included in the MCP server. And then once that's good, all those tools become available. So that's the goal here. We're going to start off with 3 because they're the 3 that I need for HackBot, but I don't want it to just support the 3 that I need. I'd like it to be able to support other ones as well. So that's kind of what the idea we're going through now. Nimplant. What is Nimplant supposed to support? Is it shellcode only? What is this one? Okay, Nimplant's in here, but it doesn't it doesn't show anything. I mean, at least Poopsie, which is also written in Nim, shows that it supports Linux and Windows. It'd be funny if we just used Poopsie. That would be funny. There was another one called Whoopsie. That's hilarious. So I'm gonna show you my newness that I've been picking up, what you're putting down. You're effectively trying to put together a template to drop into any agent build on the Mythic platform, if I got the name correct. Yeah, you're right. So the way this all functions is Mythic is a framework for building all your C2 goodies in here. So the things that come off of Mythic are, it can support different kinds of agents. Agents. Yeah. It can also support different C2 channels in there. So things like HTTP or TCP or SMB, whatever you name it. So you have different channels in there. You can also do things like wrappers. So what these will do is maybe take payload, like a shellcode payload from an agent, wrap it into some other form, convert it. Maybe you have like a PowerShell wrapper. I know there's not one. Actually, I've been intending to go build one for a while. But you have a wrapper that takes something else and then generates a payload off of that. So all these different pieces that you can plug into the framework to allow them to work together. So as a part of that is, because of the way the agents are structured and everything else, there's all sorts of different configurations you can have in here. And in fact, come to think of it, we'll need to even treat the channels as, well, maybe not agents, but we'll need to treat those as plugins too, because we're going to need one for HTTP. And then what else are we going to need? We're going to need the other stuff for Arachne, which I think is technically called a web shell. I mean, Arachne is a web shell, but I think the C2 channel for it is a web shell as well. Let me double check real quick. Let's see. Let me log into the Mythic server real quick. Super secure password 1234. And then if we come over here, no, that's not it. Installed services. This is the one we want. So you see how we have agents, C2s, translators. We could also do webhooks, all sorts of different ones that we could, basically whatever we wanted to throw up in here. So we've got 3 installed right now. We have Apollo, we have Poseidon, and Arachne. As far as C2 channels are concerned, we've only got 2. We have HTTP and we have web shell. And we need the web shell one, and as well as the translator, but you don't actually interact with the translator. It's all happening like in the background. Dog says hi. Aw, dogsy. Well, I thought Peaches was sleeping under the desk and I'd show y'all to her. She's a sweetie. She looks like Rubble from, what was that show? Paw Patrol. If you ever seen Paw Patrol, I've never watched it. I've seen a bunch of it because, you know, the kids have watched it. But she looks just like Rubble, except she's a Boston Terrier. So, but yeah, that's the, you're dead on Legacy. That's what we're doing is we're going to try to make this as simple as possible because each of these commands that these different systems expose. So like, for example, we should be able to pull up the documentation here for Apollo. Apologies, it's in fed mode, aka light mode here. But each of these commands, there's ways for it to come through and work and look like it's a legit command in here, like this. But all this is doing is it's doing some kind of like syntactical sugar in the background. So what we're going to have to do is make sure that our commands actually get properly formatted, and then we will figure that out for the YAML system in here. Hey, Eugenius, what's up, dude? Also, no likes. What's up, dude? Sorry, I saw your message a minute ago. I was talking. I meant to welcome him in. Welcome in, man. All right. Let me close this up here. Let's go see what Claudicus is doing. All right. So we're doing this in hard mode first. Where's the next thing we need to do? We need to clarify what we're doing in here. But let me look at this real quick. So for what it came up with, so here's where it dumped everything out. Oh wait, that was not the last thing we sent. Where was it? Okay, so here's where it set up our integration testing feature. It's going to put this into a new feature branch, which is cool. Let's see what it came up with. All right, so 5 user stories: YAML configs, test environment, payload generation and download, payload upload and execution, callback verification, test and command execution. Okay, sounds good. So let's go ahead and clarify that. So what it should do now is look for any areas of ambiguity. I believe that's right. So far, I'm liking this spec-driven design idea. So for clarification is structured questions to de-risk ambiguous areas before moving on to the planning stage. Oh, so sad hands. I mean, I have watched some of Paw Patrol just because the kids are like, Daddy, watch with us. And yeah, so I have. Mostly the only one I remember, though, was like one about they thought this cabin that the Paw Patrol was fixing up was haunted, and it was a bunch of mice that were like flipping the lights on and off and moving stuff in the cabin. That's the only one I actively remember. Okay, so it's actually got some questions for us that we want here. So question 1 of 5 are test cleanup after execution. So the spec describes generating payloads, uploading them to targets, executing them, verifying callbacks, but does not address what happens to the artifacts after the test run completes. The leftover payloads on targets and orphaned callbacks on the Mythic server could accumulate across runs and interfere with future testing. Okay. Full cleanup. So remove the payloads from the targets and exit new callbacks after test completion. Yes. Let's go option B. We will need to use... Actually, hold on. I'm not going to tell it that we're going to use NXC and SSH. I want to see what it thinks about for this. There'll be 2 testing systems, 1 running Debian Linux, and 1 running Windows 11. We're going to throw it a little curveball here. Paw Patrol plays Phasmophobia. That would be actually pretty freaking hilarious, come to think of it. Is that Peaches? Peaches? Hang on one sec. I think Peaches is... I think she's... There's a gate into the office so I can keep the kids out. I think she's stuck out there because I hear her whimpering. One sec, guys. Come here, Peaches. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here, Peaches. There we go. All right, I got her. Here, y'all can see Peaches. This is Peaches.
Incoming transmission.
She's a big dumb indoor princess, but she's a sweetie. Yeah, she's a good girl. No, don't lick my face. Don't lick my face. She's a good girl. Yes, you are. You're a good girl. All right, here you go. All right. Yeah. Honestly, if I had... she came to me with the name Peaches. We got her when she was about a year old. If she had not come with that name, I probably would have named her Debbie because she looked like a little Debbie Swiss roll. Hey, Yuli, what's up, dude? Yeah. She is my indoor princess and my little shadow. She did. So when she came to me, hands, she looked like a little Debbie Swiss roll with toothpicks for legs. And because she came from a house where there were like 6 dogs and they were always fighting over food. So she would just gorge herself and eat as much as she could. And so she way overate and they were always giving the dogs treats. So she was chunky when she got here. And it's not like I don't feed her. I just feed her normally. And she's going through and she like got her little girlish figure back and she's all excited and she prances around now. She's happy. I'm glad. The kids love her. Yeah, I was gonna call her. I was legit gonna call her Debbie. She looked like a little Debbie Swiss roll. Let's see. Payload to target mappings. Okay, so the spec supports multiple agent types and 2 target systems. How should agents map the targets? So, for example, Apollo is C#. Arachne supports web shells across OSs. So the test needs to know which payloads to deploy where. So option B is explicit mapping. Each target system in the YAML will list the agent type to test against it. Yes, we want to do that. Option B. We want to be very explicit. Like, this is the one that's going to test this. This is the one that's going to test this. Oh, damn it. I should have told it one more thing. I should have told it that we can explicitly map multiple payloads to test on that system. That's all right. I think we can clarify that and upgrade it. Had a backyard barbecue? Dude, I'm jealous. I meant to get a brisket prepped so I could cook it today. But with Agent Zero hurting his hand and that throwing all the plans off, because originally I wasn't going to be home today to cook it anyway. So I thought, damn it. So I'm going to cook it tomorrow. I'm just going to put it on and I'll have a giant brisket to eat throughout the week. All right, what's our next question it's got for us? For granularity. All right, so the spec describes a sequential pipeline. Generate, upload, execute, verify, callback, run commands. So should the test suite run this in a single end-to-end test per agent target pair, or should each phase be a separate test that can pass-fail independently? So this affects how failures are reported and whether partial results are useful. All right, so it is recommending option B, which is separate tests per phase with dependencies. Later phases skipped if earlier phases fail. I think that's the better approach. Doing a single end-to-end run is not as good an idea because we want to know where it fails. Yeah, we're going to do B. Each of the phases of the test is going to have a blocking dependency. And if that dependency fails, then it's not going to complete the rest of the test in there. Dude, you deserved a weekend off, bro. I know how hard you've been working, man. All right, what else we got? Question 4. All right, so the existing project already uses env test and the environment variables for Mythic server and API. So for Mythic server connections in the current integration test, the new YAML config also needs a Mythic server connection detail. So should the YAML duplicate these, or should it reference the existing environment variable mechanism? I want to say it should use the values defined in the YAML. So that way the test case can be completely contained. This is saying test A, reuse the environment variables. I'm going to override it. I don't want it to do that. YAML contains everything, including the Mythic configuration setup, fully self-contained config file. Or we could do option C here. YAML can optionally override the Mythic connections, falling back to env vars. No, I'm going to go with B. I want you to explicitly state which one is going where, so that way during testing you can't F it up. So what's the biggest pain point you see in the supply chain security right now? So I'd say probably the biggest pain point in supply chain security is the same one that you've seen with even a lot of like TLS, certificate chain authorities. It's that there's a root of trust. And a lot of times if that root of trust gets compromised, then you have issues with everything else being compromised of that. So to use the TLS example, right? There were instances where certain certificate authorities have been blacklisted and completely cut off, and they've had their signing keys stripped out of the trusted root store. But then again, technically, there are tons of really sketch certificate authorities that already exist in the signing store that in theory could cut certificates for other things if you stole the signing key. So the biggest issue is a lot of it is trust without technological backing. There's always like this underlying kernel of here's where the trust me bro kicks in. That's probably the biggest issue. I'd say the second biggest one is companies not securing their supply chain or being maybe not following your least privileges with interacting with vendors or people in that supply chain. You saw that with Target back in, shoot, when was that? Was it 2006? I think Target got popped, and it got popped through its HVAC vendor, and like all of their card readers got compromised. That is a big example. Like, they should not have had such a connection to their HVAC vendor that they should have been able to make that hop. That's the theory anyway. More recently, you've got Notepad++ that got compromised, but that wasn't the Notepad++ org. That was their hosting service. And they were very clear that it was now the former hosting service, because what happened is the servers that were hosting the updates for Notepad++ got compromised. So in the grand scheme of things, right, you've got Notepad++, you've got their updating system, and then you got the end user down here. So if they compromised anywhere in that chain before it got to the end user, right, then the end user gets affected. So the attackers intercepted that middle layer there, which was the updating servers. Something that was kind of under the control of Notepad++, but not fully, right? So underlying trust really is always, I think, going to be the biggest issue in there. Another prime example is Shai-Hulud. So the idea there being that the packages that are up in NPM or other package repositories, Python and Go are in the same boat. It's just less magnitude because there's a ton of stuff for NPM, right? But one of those packages gets compromised, and then it just spreads like wildfire from there. The guys at Notepad++ likely didn't have admin accounts to manage that service, so it's not really for them to blame. I agree with you, man. Yeah, no problem, Lexi. Dude, when I put Q&A in the stream title, I 100% mean that. Everybody who's been watching for a long time, they know I have zero issues taking like a hard left and going and exploring a topic. AI slop of the day. Dude, I know that song you sent me, Euler, was, I mean, obviously it's from Sonos, so I mean, it's obvious it was AI generated. I still liked it. It's crazy how good the AI music generation has gotten. At the same time, I still really like, okay, I do find this funny, right? I like human music. I like seeing like people that have like these unnatural voices and they're really awesome to go hear. At the same time, we've also had people putting out AI slop before AI slop was a thing. We just called it auto-tune. Thanks for coming online, Sad Hands. Appreciate it, man. It sounds like a Rick and Morty joke. Oh, I like human music. Come on, we'll be in and out in 20 minutes. I've not seen much Rick and Morty. I've been meaning to watch it. Yeah, like I said, you can send it over, dude. I'll take a look at it. I'll give you my completely amateurish review of it. But like I said, I'm not a developer. I'm doing this for fun. This part, we actually do coding on stream, believe it or not, guys, because I have a little AI hacking bot, and we're working on that to kind of tinker with it and play with it. It's fun. I enjoy writing the code, and I like thinking through the problems. However, this is actually something that's going to be facilitating that other tool. So, hey, Ford, what's up, man? We're going to get swifty. I know, right? Speaking of hard left topic change, you introduced me to solo leveling the bridge yesterday. I can't thank you enough. You're welcome, and I'm sorry. If you haven't seen solo leveling yet or read the manhwa, because it's Korean, it's not Japanese, go read it, because it's actually really, really good. I like it. It's a good story. It's fantastic. But then that makes you appreciate the abridged so much more. My favorite abridged so far actually has been, God, what was that one? Sword Art Online. And it was really sad because Sword Art Online, I think, did a better job at telling the story than Sword Art Online Abridged. It had a better story than Sword Art Online itself. It's so good. No, bad Gumby. Bad Gumby.
Incoming transmission from Marano Gumby. Yes, Daddy Blaise, I get right on it, Daddy Blaise.
I really got to make that alert sound shorter. I'm going to do it after this stream because it's so long.
Incoming transmission from Marano Gumby. Uwu.
Uwu. My little brother's reading Solo Leveling. Dude, I liked it. I thought it was really good. And the thing that actually made it really funny was like there's zero fan service in it, right? There's like none. And you totally expected in certain parts, like, oh, cool, here comes the fan service. And I forget the author's name, and he's just like, fan service denied. All right, hold on. Let me get through this real quick, and then I'll catch up on chat again. All right, so it needed a sample configuration for the repo. So the spec notes that the real YAML config should be get ignored since it contains credentials. What should be committed as a reference for operators setting up their environment? Okay, we want a sample config. Sample config with placeholders, commit, and sample. Yes, go with that one. There we go. Trying to get through Blame and Delicious in the Dungeon right now. There's a new book series that I want to get to, but I don't know when I'm going to get to it. And it's called Dungeon Crawler Carl. And so many of my friends have been talking about just how hysterical it is. So I think I might I'm going to take a break from the Jack Reacher books and go pick that one up. It's hard to stop in the Jack Reacher books because they're all episodic once you get past like the first 3. And so you can really just pick them up at any time. There's little callbacks in there. And there's like 7,000 of them. It feels almost like One Piece. There's so many books. I love the lack of fan service. Fan service is overrated, unnecessary. Exhibit A, Solo Leveling. It's a pretty damn good exhibit, man. Okay. Actually, before I go into the playing phase, does the spec allow for, let's see, multiple payloads to be tested against the same system? I'm curious to see how far this is going to go. I also want to run through a very similar workflow with this, but using open code and a couple of different models. We'll still use SpecKit. SpecKit works with open code, but I want to use different models, and we're probably going to run those through OpenRouter. Oh, there we go. Okay, so feature request 3 specifies each target system includes an explicit list of agents to test on that target. FR13 states per agent target pair. Okay, perfect. Good, because we're going to need to test Arachne on test box 1 and Poseidon on test box 1. Apollo will be on test box 2 because that's our Windows server. Okay, excellent. So now, what's our next step in the node? We're going to plan it. Do the planning. Yeah, and especially it's funny thinking about the difference in fan service because I just finished watching My Hero Academia with the kids, and there was so much fan service in that. There was so much. Hey, Hugh, what's up, man? I hope you guys are all having a fantastic Sunday. You're able to take some time off and get ready for Crushing It mode, which institutes every Monday without fail. Even on days off, we're crushing the rehab. Okay, so Dev Keystone's elevator pitch. Nice. So Dev Keystone is a trust adjudication layer for the software supply chain. So instead of just scanning for known CVEs, it treats those scans as probabilistic signals, puts them through a high-stakes verification gauntlet to prove the code actually does what it claims to. Ooh. Sounds tasty. That's a pretty big endeavor, Legacy. I mean, I imagine you've got a lot of test cases you've got to run through for something like that. Just considering, because you're talking about like, hey, is it doing what it says it's going to do? So I'm thinking like, how far do you spread that, right? Crushes dependency hell. Dude, dependency hell is a real place. That is Dante Alighieri's undocumented 8th layer of hell. Wait, it was the 8th layer, right? Hold on. Dante's Inferno. Before I finish that statement. There were 7 layers of hell, weren't there? There's 9. Yeah, that's it. My bad. Yeah. Let's see. What was it? Limbo, lust, gluttony, greed, wrath, heresy, violence, fraud, treachery was number 9. Yeah. Okay, that's right. So dependency hell is Dante's undocumented 10th layer. That's what it was. Particularly when it comes to Python dependencies. That's why I use ultraviolet for everything. Ultraviolet makes dependency hell at least manageable. And when that doesn't work, Docker's always pay. So even though at the beginning of the stream we tested netexec and SCP, those are going to be really simple ways to get the payloads over to the system. I'm just curious because it did not ask us to clarify how we're going to upload to the target machines. I want to see what it does. How does it come up with this? Dependency is one layer of the layers of hell, which is dependent on a few of the other layers. Hold on. So if we look at the layers, I can see where it actually might fall in. Dependency hell could either fall into the gluttony category, and I'm looking particularly at the people that imported the is-even library from NPM, because you're just a glutton and you want all the packages. You're collecting them like freaking Pokemon. Or it could go into fraud. Because you're like, hey, look at the thing I made, but really it's just wrapping around everybody's dependencies. It could go either way. Hey, Guy. Hey, Snaggle. What's up, gents? Now, what was funny is last time we ran through this, it actually didn't take very long. We did all the prep work, and then I let it actually do the implementation overnight. It didn't take very long. It only took like 5 minutes. So once it has like a very clear set of what's going through from SpecKit, it's actually really fast. That I was not expecting. Didn't I already join that one, Guy? Oh, it's a different one. Okay. I got it. Standing on the shoulders of giants has a cost. It's dependency hell. Hey, what's up, Dubop? I was just wondering, I was like, hey, I hadn't seen Dubop in a minute because one of your songs was playing and it was a good jam. And I was like, I wonder how Dubop's doing. Maxivan, what's up, dude? Oh no, you've given me access to Zoidbot. By the way, I forget what Gumby had to do to Zoidbot last night, but he was going off the rails and just like replying to every message. I think he banned him, then unbanned him, I think. I forget what he had to do last night, but we had to chill him out. We had to put him in the timeout corner. Yeah. Yeah, we warned him. We did. Okay, so that was our. Let me check the next task we've got here. We did the planning. We're going hardcore mode on this. We want to try and let it one-shot it by getting all the various pieces in check here. So the checklist, as part of the spec kit, creates a quality checklist to validate the requirements and completeness, clarity, and consistency. So we plan, then we checklist, then from the checklist we generate all the tasks. The additional, so these are the primary steps we have to go through. We need to specify what the feature is going to be, plan it, and then generate all the tasks for that, and then implement it. However, what I'm calling hardcore mode is you add in these 3 optional steps, where we go through and we clarify ambiguities, we analyze where we do checklisting, which generates a checklist for basic clarity and completeness and consistency. And then we take it one step further with their analyze setup, where it does cross artifact consistency and alignment. So we're doing the full hardcore mode, as I call this in here, to try and one-shot these. All right, so where are we looking at in this? Okay, so before generating the checklist, got clarifying questions based on the feature's domain, integration testing for Mythic. Question 1, area focus. Let's see. The spec covers several distinct domains. Which should this checklist prioritize? End-to-end pipeline requirements, payload gen, callback commands. Checklist focus area. YAML configuration, schema requirements. Option C. Cross OS requirements. Option D. All of the above. Needs to be comprehensive. Let's see. That needs to be option D. And it's funny is it gave me like an autocomplete list. Let's see how good this was. So D is the one that we want. We want the D. Yeah, give me the D. Number 2, depth level. Yeah, we'll do standard on that. So B. And then who will use the checklist and when. Author self-review before implementation. Yeah, okay, I actually did a good job at guessing my answers. New fancy setup for cloud. Kind of. So it's not something I made. It's from the guys over at GitHub to do spec-driven development, Max. And so it is, and so far it's actually been working out really well. It's pretty cool. I was trying to listen to a YouTube video earlier while I was feeding the chickens to see if I had any, because there are some competitors to this, like Agent OS is another one. I think if I remember correctly, what they were saying in the video is that SpecKit, I think, tends to work better with a new code base, versus something like Agent OS, I think, tends to work better with an existing code base. Announcements. Okay. All right, let's let this churn for just a second here. We'll let it read this thing. All right, sorry, let me catch up on chat real quick. Every other comment to Zoid bot was just chill, and the bot was affirming, okay, going to chill now, and totally not chilling. What's a better network, Meshtastic or Tor? It depends on the use case, Snackle. Meshtastic, I've not read very deeply on that, but Meshtastic is more for, I believe, like low bandwidth, low delivery rate, if I remember correctly. It's more suitable for like infrequent communications compared to Tor, which is online. There's a lot of latency to it, but it is like an always on system, right? So for Keystone, wait, that was the project name, right? Let me see. Yeah, Keystone. Okay. So for Keystone, I need to work on hardening the site security a little. Like I said, I'd be on if you wanted to take a full look at it and feel like you were interested. I am probably able to work out some type of access for you just to get your opinion. So when the site's secure, I can shoot you a link. I don't want to come across as spammy. No, you're good, dude. Hit me up on Discord, Legacy. And yeah, that's the best way to get a hold of me. I'll be honest with you, I'm not quick to reply on Discord, but I do see the messages when they come in. And I don't know what it is. It's for some reason, like messages to my phone from Discord, they get massively delayed. They come in bursts anywhere from 5 minutes to as long as like 2 hours. Then they just, bam, they just all flood in. I don't know what the problem is. It's probably my old phone. All right, so checklist was generated. All right, excellent. So after we get our checklist going, then we want it to go build our task list. So let's do that. Boop. We're starting to get crunchy on the context window. So hopefully this will complete fairly well, and then we can clear the context and then run the implementation. Oh, you get the same delay, guy? Okay. So it's not just me being, like, thinking my phone is out to get me. Yeah, I had to turn off the notifications guy because I heard Swordbot every time in Discord just like boop boop boop. I was like, okay, I know what this is. All right, yeah, we'll take care of that. All right. Let's see. So right now it should be going through and generating all the tasks for the code it needs to implement. Once this is working, this integration test pipeline is going, then what we're going to do is we're going to go actually work on the plugin system and define the YAML structure for that. Because having all those individual Python plugins, that's going to be too heavy a lift for the agent authors to be able to go through and generate that. So I'm hoping to find a way to try to make it a little bit more streamlined for them. Oh, you've got it building a project for you right now? I got you. So your Discord notifications only get delayed when you're on Wi-Fi, but not cellular. I mean, I'm used to like having a few network anomalies because I've got ad blocking on my DNS server at the house. So a lot of those systems like rely on it. So I fully expect that, but the Discord for some reason is just a little bit ridiculous. All right, so looks like it generated all of our tasks. What do we got next here? So now we're going to have it go through and do cross-artifact verification with the analyze command. We're going to do the analysis now. Yes. Yeah, but how many minutes do they have on them, Dirk? Also, what's up, dude? For that price, you get like 4 text messages and a 30-second call. No minutes? It's bogus. I'd probably, Dirk, if I was doing more, I used to do a lot of like social engineering calls for work. I don't do them as much anymore. Otherwise, I might hit you up on that. Oh yeah, Monkey, I remember text packages. I remember one time I messaged this girl and she got pissed at me because she's like, do you know how much a text message cost me? And I'm like, this was after the time of like unlimited messages. I'm like, woman, you need to upgrade your package. Giggity. All right, let's see what it came up with here for our analysis. All right, so here's where we ran the analyze. Categories inconsistency high. Oh yeah. Not sponsored by Jocko yet. Love the Jockos. Okay, so FR11 specifies a substring or regex matching for expected output, but T21 implements only substring matching. Case sensitive contains checks. Data model MD, which is test command config, also describes the field as substring or regex pattern, but contains specific substrings only. Okay, so we need to fix some inconsistencies in here. A couple of under-spec things as well. Two high issues should be addressed before implementation, which is regex versus substring. Let's see. So the recommendation says it's safe to proceed, but I want to go ahead and clean some of these up. So hosting matching, add matching semantics to FR9, which is case insensitive. Okay, let me go look at U1 here. What was that? Okay, so FR09 says matching expected hostname, but does not define matching semantics. Specifies a case-insensitive match. Reasonable choice, but is not anchored in the spec. Okay, so for U1, we want a case-insensitive matching, but for I1, for inconsistency, I think we do want some kind of regex in there. Use regex for I1 and case-insensitive matching for U1. Oh, we also need to look at U4 and T1 in here. All right, Monkey, have a good night, dude. Thanks for stopping in, man. Yep, I'm going back to attacking that web app. I've got the first step in an attack chain for the current web app I'm testing. And it's actually not so bad because I used to do a lot of web apps and I was really burned out on them. But I haven't really had to do any in about, I don't know, a year. So it's not such a heavy draw on my brain to have to go do another web app. I was really burned out on web app pen tests. Oh, it does come with data though. Ooh. Nice. Mobile provider didn't lock down their data or something. Hold on. Remember rule 4, Dirt. No discussing anything that is sub-legal, because rule number 3 is everyone in chat is a Fed. By the way, if you didn't know that, congratulations, you're in the chat, you're now a Fed. I don't make the rules. Let's see, hold on, there were 2 more in here that it suggested that we look at. U4 and T1, so let's see, what was U4? U4 was under spec for... FR17 says via environment variables, but that does not name the variables. Task and contracts use Mythic MCP test config. The variable name should be in the spec for traceability. Yeah. Okay, so U4 is not bad. Terminology. Spec says exit or deregister callbacks. Research and task use deactivate. These are functionally equivalent but different in terms. Okay. It's just updates for... Shoot, I forgot the which ones it was. U4 and T1. U4 and T1. Oh, I think it's funny too, man. I don't have to deal with SIM cards too much, but actually... Yeah, that wouldn't have helped out with the vishing stuff too much. But actually, so one thing I was really surprised about as I went through and was getting back into doing a lot of the voice context calling. I kind of hate the term vishing because it's kind of annoying. But anyway, when I was going through and doing those is I found out there were a couple of new protocols put in place and called Shaken and Stir. So somebody was a Bond fan when they built this, but it has to do with actually authenticating caller ID data as it's coming through.
Turning it off and on again.
We're about to turn it off because our context window is almost full. We're above what I call the sanity limit. Once you get above about 70%, 65%, you start getting degraded performance because the context window is kind of full. So I don't want to wipe it just yet. After I update these and before we do the next phase, which was... What was the last phase we just ran? So we ran the analysis. After our analysis, we're going to run the implementation. So yeah, actually, once these are done, we should be good to wipe and implement. Okay, so for U4, suggestion, so system must align with the configuration via the MCP test config environment variable. This aligns with the spec with T005. Okay. That's fine. Mythic test config, we can totally do that. All right, so the Mythic API calls update callback active false. So it doesn't truly exit or deregister a callback. It marks it as inactive. Spec uses exit or deregister. So this is just a terminology difference that we're looking at here. Okay. Yes, deploy those updates. We'll make them happen. Do you know any laptops that disable IME? Oh, didn't somebody just post one in the chat? There was a locked, maybe it was you. Hold on. Someone had just posted in the chat that there was a particular laptop that disabled IME from the manufacturer or from the distributor, but I don't remember who it was. If you hear this message, go ahead and repost it in there. To make a really cheap redeem, because right now you are refusing people to lurk. There's a lurk command, exclamation point lurk. I think there is one really cheap redeem that was in there. I think it was. Oh yeah, nerd is pretty cheap. What'd you have in mind though? Because honestly, I don't. I set those up a long time ago, and I mess with them. Let's see. Okay, so that should be good. So what we're going to do is we're going to clear this, and then we're going to run the implementation. So we're just wiping it out, and then we're going to do speckit implement. Ta-da! There we go. So yeah, actually, Max, there are ways where you can tell it, I believe using the hooks in Claude Code, that when it reaches a certain level to go ahead and compact. So you could say, you could have a lifecycle hook in Claude Code that says, hey, by the way, we've reached, 60% usage. And so now we want to go ahead and compact this. Oh, okay. I see what you're asking for, Snaggle. Yeah, I could totally set that up. In fact, here, once I get this kicked off, we will do that. All right, so it says the requirements quality checklist has 33 unchecked items. These are spec review observations, i.e. its host name matching the defined as exact or case sensitive. The contracts and data model already solve most of these. Do you want to proceed with the implementation anyway? Yeah, go ahead and build it. Build it. Let me see. Hold on. So while this is building, let me see if I can build that Snaggle real fast. I gotta remember where it is in here. All right, so it's building right now. If any indication, like when we built the last feature, it took about 5-6 minutes, so this will churn for just a minute here. I'm very curious because it didn't ask any questions about how the systems are going to upload. So I'm very curious to see what it does for uploading, right? Let's see. Zoidbot. Wanting to be so helpful. All the bots want to be helpful. They do. I gotta remember where to do the redeems at in here. I don't remember. I'm generating AI slot based on Tyler Durden. I could just imagine feeding it that book and being like, generate a, what would be the proper term? A personality file based on this character. That would be hilarious. Okay, so it should be community channel points. Oh, wait, here it is. Okay. Yeah, I see it. Okay. Okay, I made one that's a lurk for like 1 point. It literally does nothing. So try that, test that out. Everyone's got their own inner Tyler Durden.
What, your mom buy you a pewter for Christmas?
She did one year. My mommy loves me. And now, as payback, I take care of all her bills.
What, your mom buy you a pewter for Christmas?
Did I really... Wait, did it do that for the lurk? It must have picked a random one. Now, unfortunately, there's only 2 redeems on that, Gumby. That's funny. I'm gonna have to change that to a 1. And then now you guys are all gonna spam it. Shut up, baby, I know it. I'm a big old nerd. Alright, we'll see what that does. I've been meaning to clean up some of the redeems anyway. I thought about having... So, like, what Zoidbot was connected to the chat, right? Guys, AI bot. I thought about having one in here, and basically for every message you sent, it had a 1% chance of trying to, like, respond sarcastically. I just haven't gotten around to setting it up yet. Honestly, I've had too many other shiny things, like, draw me away as I've been doing that. Let's see. Alright, so we don't have any callbacks right now. What operation are we in? We're in the root me op. Okay. I think that's fine. Love the little analytics that we've got here. You know what, something else I actually need to look at is... Someone actually made a Ludus MCP server. I think that was my buddy Chonk. Is this the right one? Hang on one second. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I love all these things where like, here's an MCP server you can just run. I'm like, yeah, let's not. Oh, I guess Chonk didn't make this one. Somebody made it. Nocte Defensor.
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
We did. Well, actually, yesterday we did. Actually, I was forced to turn it off and on again yesterday when I had the power outage. It's been really weird. A lot of folks in my neighborhood are sending a lot of angry letters and emails because it seems like our power goes off so much now. And I've lived in this neighborhood for 7 years. I've never had the power go out so much, so frequently. It's weird. Something definitely did not change for the better. When did he put this out? About 6 months ago? That sounds about right. Actually, it had a commit about 4 days ago. That's kind of cool. What tools do we have for this? Maybe I'll use this for managing the MCP server. Where's the tools? I want to see. Oh, so we could have it go create or execute a Ludus range. Oh, here we go. Range management. Deploy, get range status, destroy a range. That's dangerous. Config management. Okay, it's actually got a lot of tools in it. Nice. Nice. Oh, that's pretty cool. Insert creds in the range config. Very cool. I don't know if I necessarily need this. I do need to go build a, let's see, SCCM range. Because the SCCM range has a lot of good stuff in it. Yeah, this is the one from Zach Stein. Sinzak. Because with this one and adding an ADCS server, you've pretty much got a full-blown Active Directory environment. Especially if you throw a couple of, I don't know, you throw a couple of workstations in there and you've got a fully simulated AD environment. Oh, wait, what? Hold on. What are you trying to edit? Testrunner.md. Oh, okay, yes, I'm going to allow you to edit that. Because that's an agent. Yes, you're allowed to edit the agent. Are they building new data centers in my area? Dude, they're trying to build warehouses in my area. It's crazy. So for anybody who doesn't know, I live in Dallas, and I'm in between. There's like 4 major highways. There's 20 and there's 30 that run east to west. So they're north and south of me. And then you've got like 35 west and 35 east in there. And they're trying to turn this like all into like a big logistics hub. And they've been trying to build a warehouse literally like 100 yards from my neighbor's backyard. It's nuts. I was like, dude, the warehouse that's a half mile away, it's more like a quarter mile. It's like a quarter mile away. We hear crap from that warehouse all the freaking time. And it's got to go through trees. And you want to go build this one right at my neighbor's backyard? My neighbor who lives maybe 100 yards from me? I was like, get out of here. There's lots of other places to go build warehouses. Build some more damn houses. Get the housing prices down. I know that's actually against my own well-being, but I think people should actually be able to afford a freaking house. Awesome. Okay, so here's what was implemented. Pydantic models for the YAML config validation. Let's see, we should have made... Where's our example? Test integration. Where is... So it says all 28 tasks were completed. But what I want it to do is... Okay, let's go ahead and commit this real quick. Because we're working in a feature branch, we can go ahead and commit this. It's not a problem. Why aren't you making an OpenClaw bot yet? OpenClaw sounds really cool, but let me tell you this. There's an OWASP top 10 for web apps. There's also an OWASP top 10 for language model and agentic systems. And one of those warning areas for those is excessive agency. And ClaudeBot OpenClaw Malt 44, whatever the hell it's called now, because it keeps changing its name. That is the definition of excessive agency. It's like giving a loaded machine gun to a monkey, which we stopped doing after the Estada Zoo massacre of 1999. I think most of Dallas, like all of Dallas and Fort Worth, I think is on Encore, Gumby. And Encore hasn't been doing a horrible job. I just don't know where they're screwing up with it. Yeah, OpenClaw is a glorified file manager and the cause of everybody buying Mac Minis. I know, right? Okay, no, we're not going to push and open a PR. Actually, we will go ahead and push it. Push it real good. Push it. Do not merge or create PR. Because what I want to do now is I want to go through and test it while we're on this feature branch and see what it does. Okay, so we pushed it up there. We need to, let's test it. I think I need to go up a couple more here. There we go. Where's our test YAML in here? ENV test, coverage, hold on. Let's see. Where's the example YAML file for configuring the test servers? I need to see that. Japan's become the process of sushification of annoying tourists. So if they see you causing trouble, they'll wrap you up and send you to be deported. Oh yeah, guys, if y'all hadn't seen that, what they're doing is they literally have like a struggle blanket. The police swarm you and they hold you down and they wrap you up like a freaking sushi roll in this giant like Velcro blanket that like isolates you. And then they just carry you away to go deport you. And I don't blame them because the Japanese folks are, for the most part, very nice and very polite, but they're getting sick and tired of people coming there and abusing the politeness. Yeah. Oh, there's been a problem with housing ever since the banks try to be politically correct and tell everybody that they could lend money to you without people who could actually pay it back. Oh, dude. Don't get me started on that. That was a pain. I was actually working at a car dealership whenever that happened. And yeah, I remember it distinctly, like when all the 2008, 2009 crap started happening, because all of a sudden people that I could get financed to sell them cars so I could, you know, earn a paycheck, all of a sudden couldn't get financed anymore. So I remember that. Let's see. Ah, there it is. So it's in test integrations. So I need to go. Let's see. Test integrations. Let's see. So where's our YAML file? There it is. Okay, so let's copy config sample YAML and put that into config YAML. And then let's go ahead and modify that. We're going to keep using HX. We're going to try Helix again and see how much it bothers me. Let's see. API token. Okay, I need to go get that from the other system here. Cat env test. What was that? There it is. Turn that off so I can grab the API key. Don't hack me, bro. There we go. All right. So we don't need a username or password. Oh, whoops. I was like, why is this all... Oh, no. What did I just do? Undo. Undo? Damn it. There we go. I'm still getting the key bindings for Helix are slightly different from Vim, so I'm fumbling quite a bit. Agent type definitions. Okay, so each agent will have a payload generated. So C2 profiles, callback host, callback port. Okay. I want to see how well it did by just doing this. I think for Arachne, though, I want to come in and... I'm going to do this the easy way there. Because we're not going to test Arachne right now. We don't have a test system set up just yet. We do have Apollo set up. We do have a Windows machine set up. We have our Linux server. We don't have Poseidon up just yet. So, no. Damn it, stop. Undo. No, what are you doing? Redo. Ah. I'm failing. Apologies. I'll commit Sudoku later. There we go. I think I'm gonna have to go back to Vim, or at least maybe Neo Vim. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. I'm failing so hard at doing the just doing the basic text editing for it. Wait, didn't I install NeoVim? I didn't install NeoVim on here? Alright, that's fine. Just Vim it then. Let's see. I need to come over and... What is going on here? Everything is not awesome right here. What am I doing? Hold on. I need to get better at my bimming. Alright, hold on. So I don't want to test the Arachne payload. I don't want to test the Linux server here. Comment that stuff out. And same thing for Arachne. Yeah, let's do this. Also, I think I'm going to have it go through and rebuild this part because... Oh, undo. And because I don't like having... I get the idea here, right? We have our test commands. They're all busted up in here. But I want everything for Apollo to be in one spot. I don't want to have to bust these up in here, right? There we go. Let me write this. I think for the most part it looks good. Oh, Dirk, so we're still working on the Mythic MCP server, right? So this is going to be the MCP server to come talk to our command and control in here. But I want to start working on the plugin system. However, the plugin system isn't going to make a lot of sense if we don't have a test suite for it to work against. So what we're doing is actually, we set up two test systems. We had a Windows 11 system. We got a Debian system in here. Debian is configured, but we're not going to be testing anything against it just yet because we haven't built a plugin for Poseidon. So what I was doing is just modifying the configuration file here. We're going to see how it goes to where we have an Apollo agent for Windows set up. And then what's the C2 profile should be for this. And then we have a test target, which is our Windows 11 PC. Oh, I just noticed something, though. We don't have any spot in here for credentials to upload it. So let's go modify this. This should be... Oh, I'm curious how it's going to do this. What should this be? This should be users... What was that path? I closed it. Let's see. No, let's go to I think it's user's local user. Yeah, lowercase. Okay. So this will be local user. And yeah, we can call it test payload. That's fine. Okay. Let me write this and then let's exit out of here. Let's see. How are files for Windows computers? Actually, let me see. How are the test payloads for Windows going to be uploaded? I'm curious. I want to see how it implemented that, because there's no place for us to specify credentials in it. How do you see the RAM crisis impacting the security industry? I hadn't really thought about it. Aside from making things more expensive, it's not going to have really much of an impact. So people are going to have to stretch budgets a little bit further, because any appliances, actually, most times companies aren't doing too many appliances on site nowadays. I mean, they still are, but that's not the big push. So not directly related to security, but anything that's going to be appliance based and is going to have some kind of memory in it may get more expensive. But also, a lot of those appliances are not using DDR5 memory. So the problem is not all RAM in and of itself. There's been some inflation of RAM prices outside of DDR5, but that's where the big bulk of it has been. DDR4, it got hit pretty decently. The other ones, that whatever memory they're using, they're not using your typical consumer memory, right? So it's going to depend on if the manufacturers are still manufacturing that memory for it, or if they're bailing on those other ones to try and cash in on the DDR5 cash cow right now, right? So I don't think it's going to have much of an effect. Just taking a swag at it mentally. But I do think it's going to cause the price to go up, just because the price of everything has gone up, especially any computer that's going to be using RAM. All right, so what did we come back with here? So the file upload works like this. Register the payload bytes with Mythic via this. This stores the file in the Mythic server, returns an agent file ID. Issue an upload task to the target's pre-existing callback from the YAML. Oh, okay, so it's assuming we already have a pre-existing callback. It would upload through a pre-existing Apollo callback ID 1. Okay. So I purposefully did not clarify this part. I had an idea like how I wanted to upload it to it, and it didn't. So key assumption is that each target already has an active callback before the test runs. That pre-existing callback is used as the delivery mechanism. The test pipeline doesn't establish initial access. It uses access you already have to upload the existing one. So after uploading it, it does execute payload on target, issues a shell command for the pre-existing callback with the upload path. Is that a reasonable thing to put in there, though? Let me go look at something real quick. So if we come down here, so we have the name is Windows Target, host name Windows 11 PC, callback ID. It's not the way I envisioned it, but that's actually not a bad solution. So, like I said, I purposely, to test this, how it was generating this code and what its thinking process was, I purposely left this vague. I didn't tell it how to get the payload on the system. I envisioned just uploading it via SMB over to the target or via SCP onto the system. Instead, what it's saying is, what we want to do is establish a callback in that and use that as a channel to do the rest of the testing. I don't think that's an unreasonable request for setting up the tests. Okay, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and do that real quick. Let's go generate a payload real fast. So, generate new payload. We'll do a Windows payload. And we're going to start fresh. It's going to be a Windows executable from Apollo. Actually, hold on, let me go back. We could choose Apollo or Arachne in here, so we're going to let it default to Apollo. For our build parameters, we're going to let it be Windows executable. That's totally fine. And we'll just let it be default configuration here. We'll go ahead and throw every command over here. And then we'll make a... Actually, hold on. I want to do something a little bit different here. So this is one of the things that I wish was a little bit different in Apollo, which is, or like just in Mythic in general. So when you get ready to select your C2 profile, you can have that profile here. You could select a pre-generated profile, but the problem is it's a little bit breaking of the workflow. So really what we should do is come over to, where is it? C2, we're going to do HTTP, and we're going to hit the save button here. So we could go duplicate one of these, but instead what we're going to do is we're going to call this our, let's call this our testing callback. And then what we're do is we're going to tell it how it's going to connect back. So it's going to do HTTP to 10.5.10.10. Callback interval, we'll just drop that down to a 1. Jitter 0, callback port 80, that should be totally fine. And then the rest of this we can leave totally legit. Like kill date 1 year from now, all that's fine. So now what we've done is we created a C2 profile in there. Now when we come generate the payload, we can tell it to include that. So we're going to do Windows, Apollo, start fresh. All this is good. We don't need to adjust the file name. We'll go ahead and throw everything up in there. And we are going to include the HTTP profile, but here's actually where we set it. So this is going to be our testing calling, which is not what I actually meant it to be, but totally fine. I probably actually should have done this as none. Come to think of it. It's fine. This is fine. Create payload. So now it's going to start building that payload. If we come back over here, we'll see it actually going through the build process of making the Apollo executable. Hey, Bobby, what's up, dude? Should have bought more RAM last year. I was overspending on GPUs, so I left out the second M2 and 2 more RAM sticks. This box that I'm on right now has 32 gigs on it. I've been meaning to upgrade it to 64 for forever, Max, and I'm in the exact same boat. I'm kicking myself now that I kept putting that off. I was like, damn it. Or at least maybe not trying to get a 4090 before everything went insane. All right, so here's a cool trick we can do. This Apollo payload is done, right? So what we can do is we can come, I think it's view payload configuration. And here's our download URL right here. If we click this globe, we can actually host the payload through the C2 and give it a download link directly. But actually, I think this will work just fine. So if I copy this, we'll have to use the bings. Oh, good. It's already like pre-configured and everything. Nice. Yeah, I know it's not Pirate. Go ahead and download it anyway. Keep anyway. There we go. So now what we're going to do is look over to downloads. I'm going to come to properties and where is it in here? I forgot there was a way to remove the mark of the web off it. It's fine. I'm just going to run it from here. All right. So now that this is executed, we should see a new callback over in here. Hey, there we go. So interaction number 13 from local user. Perfect. So now we've got the callback ID. we can come through here and we can set this up. So, what are you doing? Let's see. So that one should be, why are you doing this? 13. There we go. Let's see. OS would be Windows, host name. What did I call this sucker? We can actually come over here and we can view the metadata for it. Let's see. Host HTTP test 2. So copy. We'll go ahead and throw this over into our config YAML. Once this is done, there we go. Windows target. I'm going to call this test 2. I don't know why I'm in caps. And then let's see, OS here, where we're going to actually upload it to. We're going to upload a test payload and then Apollo. Boom, just like that. Okay, cool. Commands to test. We just want to do a shell and a who am I and a PWD. I think that should work. We'll see what it does. Hey, Pale, what's up, dude? What'd you use to create the payload? We just made it in Mythic. So we went through the Mythic payload creation, and it's an Apollo payload. So if we come look at it, last check-in, 1 second. We put the callback to be just like 1 second as it's coming through here. So our testing server is going to use an existing callback on the box as a facilitator for uploading and downloading and checking all the other stuff in it. So we'll see how it works. We're kind of testing this out because once we can get the full integration testing suite going, then we could actually start working on the proper plugin system instead of the half-baked plugin system it created. You kind of shrink these down. I can't shrink that down? Lame. What else do I have in here? Can I move that over? No, I can't. There we go. Do it like that. Hey, Sherlock, what's up? SSA Sherlock. I started learning programming on my own, and it's been great when I'm learning the basics, but I can't get into doing any projects or post basics. It's like I know the basics, but I don't know how to apply them on problems. So any advice? Just think of something that is interesting that you want to work on. And I know that sounds like a really non-answer, but it's true. What I like to do is just think of a very simple problem for a larger problem, and then just solve that one problem. And it doesn't need to be great. It doesn't need to be spit-shined or polished or like totally legit tight code. Just think about how to go through and start working on it and build a little something. And then build a little something more onto it. And then build a little something more onto it. Or like Band is saying, start like even just like a very simple game. Something that's going to help you start thinking about larger programs in there. And for example, I'm not a developer. I'm not a coder. I've tinkered with code. I've messed with code. I've broken it for a long time. I've been in IT for 16 years now. And I've been in offensive security for almost 8 years. It'll be 8 years next month. And so I didn't actually start programming on a regular basis until about a year ago when we started HackBot. And I really only do it on the stream as I'm thinking through it, I'm messing with it. So I had a lot of basics and ideas in there, but there was a lot of growing pains of like starting with, okay, how am I going to do this? Where am I going to build it? How am I going to build it? And then just slowly expanding it out from there. So it's an iterative process. Programming is a contact sport. You got to get in there and make contact. Let's see. All right, so we got that going here.
Did Mom buy you a pewter for Christmas?
She did 1 year. It was a laptop. My mommy's awesome. Even if she does call me 3 times a day asking how to do something on the Roku. I regret introducing her to YouTube. So my dad passed away in May, and as part of trying to help my mom through all of that, I took over paying all of her bills and making sure all that's good. I found out I was freaking amazed. My mother and my father were paying $400 a month for fucking cable TV. And so that was the first thing. I'm looking at their bills. My dad's Social Security is gone. I'm like, Mom, this has to go immediately. She's like, well, what am I going to do? I was like, I'm going to show you YouTube. I both appreciate that decision because now she's saving like she's saving like $250 a month on not paying for cable. And now she's like, hey, look at this video. Look at this video. Look at this video. I was like, Mom, that's AI slop. The president didn't say that. The Pope didn't say that. I was like, that's not. And she's like, well, the information sounded correct. It's like, I don't give a damn. It's an untrusted narrator. No. You can't. It's a non-trustworthy narrator. Stop watching those videos. Just stick to HGTV and like EWTN because she's Catholic. So I'm like, just stick to those two channels. You'll be just fine. And the weather. Oh, so you did the lurk command and it fired that. Okay. I guess every time somebody fires a lurk. Hey, band, do me a favor. Fire a lurk redeem. I want to say, like, are they all doing the pewter? Hey, Samantha. Let me see. All right, so what else do we need in here? I think that's good. No, not that lurk. The actual lurk button. So for the channel point redeem.
What, your mom buy you a pewter for Christmas?
Damn it. I just added that one because Snaggle had asked for it. Because for some reason he didn't like typing exclamation point lurk. I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. I guess I need to go rework the priority list as it's coming through here. All right, I think the config looks solid.
What, your mom buy you a pewter for Christmas?
Now everybody's gonna be lurking. Okay, let's see how this actually goes here. So let's write this. Okay. So let's see. Actually, I need to check something real quick here. Let me bust out of this. I need to look at the get ignore from this. Test integration config YAML. Okay, good. That's in the get ignore. Excellent. Okay. Let's come back up here. Let's see. I set up the config YAML for integration testing. Let's give it a go. Let's see how it does with it. And we'll be able to kind of watch this, so it should be able to run it. Immediately, bam, failure. Payload generation fails, cannot connect to host, HTTPS 443 SSL false. Oh, did I set the configuration wrong? No, it should be 7443. Yeah. Oh, it had a parsing error for the URL. That's what it was. Yeah, so it was treating the server URL as a host port pair instead. Ha, that's funny. Still funny. Double lurks. If I lurk twice, am I really lurking? Yes, you're just doubly off the grid. After I realized what it was doing, Gumby, I dropped it to one lurker team right now until I go fix it. So, well, I did commit before we had it start doing this. So if it just completely, craps out on us, we can just wipe everything and tell it, hey, by the way, this is what you need to go fix. Actually, it looks like it's running. Hold on, let me go look at the Mythic server. Okay, it's trying. It tried a delete command for some reason. Oh, so this is why I wanted to go test it, because the integrations, I knew were going to do this. We needed something to start beginning to test, did the actual commands work in here? Because until now, they were just happy thinking fairy dust. I knew this was going to break because it formatted that command this way. In the proper, like, it tried to format it into the JSON when it doesn't need to be in the JSON. Tragedy, what head training? Sorry, if I missed it earlier, I'm trying to ask for the confrontation. Don't know the network? Oh, okay. So what we're doing, Tragedy, is we're actually setting up we're building this is Mythic Command and Control, C2 program. We're building an MCP server to interact with it with another CTF playing hacking bot that we're building. So we're on a little bit of a side quest to go build the MCP server. And I set up 2 test boxes. There is this one here, which is a Windows box and a Debian box. So what we're going to do is we're having it go through and build integration testing. So that way we can actually build a plugin system, because Mythic has a ton of different agents to it. Like everything you see, hold on, here we go. We come up here. Every one of these is a different agent, and there's this entire matrix of like what operating system they support. So what I want to do is create a standardized plugin system that's probably going to be a YAML file definition, so it can come in here and people can, to allow their agent to be plugged into the MCP server, go create that file and then just host it as part of the agent code. So that way it makes it simple, because each of these agents has different capabilities, different command structures, different command sets. They're all unique. So a plugin system is the only thing that kind of makes sense. Hack the planet. Diplo Heisenberg. I love that name. I love reading the usernames from everybody because they crack me up. Love it. All right, so where did it go wrong with here? We're also testing out something with good old Mr. Claude Code here, where we have it doing something called spec-driven design. We're using GitHub's spec kit to go through and do this, and we're trying to see how far we can push it and where the pitfalls are with it. So far, it's actually working fairly decently. However, I purposely left something vague in here because I wanted to see what the solution was. Let's see. What's it doing here? Oh, hang on one sec, guys. I gotta go check something. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I haven't even read the chat log yet, and I know you guys are already claiming what I was doing, and I just want you all to know you are wrong. You are wrong. I was not, in fact, pooping. All right, so what it was doing here, hold on, let me turn the mouse back on. So it went through and it ran its first test, and it's finding all the errors in it now, which is fine. So payload generation and download now pass, but the subsequent phase of deployment and callback verification and command execution are skipping because they check a shared state in the state module. The state isn't being carried forward. Each test function runs in its own async context. And the state module is fresh per session, but the dependency checks require the prior phases to have their results set. Okay, let's go see what it did. Oh, thank you. Sock brought me my bedtime pills. Let me see. Did it actually create the payload? Okay, cool. So we do see a new one. Apollo test payload for Windows targets. Excellent. This is the one we made right here. This is the one it just created. And in fact, we can even go look at this because if we come over to, I think it's in here, tasks maybe? Where is it? There's a full log set in here. Try callbacks? No, tasks. We can see it in the tasking view here, but basically everything is logged inside of Mythic. Key logs, credentials, files, payloads. I wanted to see like the actual logs of, hey, this guy did this guy did this. I think we might be able to see it in here. No, it's not. I'll have to ask Cody where that is. Cody's the guy who wrote Mythic. He's a good buddy of mine. But anyway, we do see that. We don't see the callback come back. Let's see. Where's callbacks? We still only see the one callback. It tried to go execute it here. However, it failed because it tried to send it directly to it. Not a big problem, but these were issues I expected with it. Gumby is Supreme Overlord. Hold on. There was a question from Tragedy earlier. So like an API theory of everything. Yeah, kind of. That's what we got going with it. No, there should be no Defender on this system here. If we had Defender, Apollo EXE would have been squashed. But something else we can do here is... Well, actually, it said it did find one in here. What did it find? Let's see. See details. Oh, there we go. So it actually did go find it. That's all right. Let's do this real quick. So we just lost our Apollo process. That's a bummer. But you know what we can do is we can come in here to protection history and then quarantine threats, and we can restore it. And now one of the things that we can do, okay, fine. You're gonna do it that way, huh? All right. So one of the things we can do is we're going to run this in administrator mode, and we're going to do set MP. I gotta let it think for just a second. We're going to set an MP exclusion. No, MP preference. And then I think it's exclude path, C:\\. Start. I've never seen a set MP exclusion do that before. Okay. I don't want to kill Defender because Defender's just going to turn itself back on. But you know what I'm going to do? Let's see. Manage settings. Doot, doot, doot. Actually, you know what? We could do one better. We could do better, everyone. We have the technology. Check this out. Let me see if I can find that repository. GitHub, kill, Windows, Defender. Let me see if I can find that repository. I believe it's this one. Nope, that ain't it. Maybe it's this one. Windows Defender removal tool.
Incoming transmission from Marano Gumby. Run PowerShell as root.
We are running PowerShell as root. Well, I mean, as system. Yeah, see right there. This is an administrator PowerShell. But that's all right, because what we're going to do is, I believe this is the correct one. Yep, I think this is it. I accidentally used this on the system and it completely nukes Windows Defender off the system. Defender remover, copy link address. So here's what we're going to do. Because I wanted, for this test system, we're not doing anything evasive. Defender should be catching this. It's an out-of-the-box copy of Apollo. It should be captured bigger than crap. Let me see. All right, all those are turned off. They'll eventually turn themselves back on, but keep it. Keep anyway. There we go. Defender remover. Run as administrator. More info. Run anyway. Let's see. What is this going to do? Disable all security mitigations. Remove Windows Defender only, but keep UAC enabled. Disable all security mitigations. Why? Kill it all. With prejudice. And when I say this nukes it off the system, I mean it like you couldn't even get to this window right here. I'm going to close that. I'm going to let it do its thing. We'll probably have to go reboot it and re-get the Apollo payload, but that's fine. Waiting for your system to reboot. Yeah, don't do this at home, kids. I am a trained monkey professional. So here, once that box comes back up, I'll show you what it does. But like all the security infrastructure is just gone off the box. What's Mythic? Mythic is a command and control framework. So to put that into perspective, Metasploit is a framework as well, right? It gives you the tools to go build what you've got. It has some payloads built into it. To contrast that against something like Cobalt Strike or Nighthawk or even Sliver, those are more C2 platforms. Actually, I'm not sure. I haven't played with Sliver a ton. Sliver's kind of cool. I love Mythic, so I stick to Mythic. But what it's designed to do is facilitate everything that you want to do in a command and control setup, but it's more for the picks and shovels, right, for you to go build it. And so Mythic facilitates everything that you want to do in a command and control yourself. Now, there's lots of open source information available about it. Let me pull this up again. And so it's like how to go in and work on it and build your own agents, build your own C2 profiles, everything like that. All right, so now if I go over to Windows Security, that's it. That's it. It's gone. It's gone. When I say it nukes it off the system, it nukes it off the system. Update complete. Yay, I guess. All right, hold on. So where is our downloads? Let's see. Open downloads page. I need to... Oh, did it restore it? Oh, it did. Nice. Okay, so now over in Mythic, we should have a new callback. So notice how 13 has been dead for 6 minutes. It's gone. So we need to just hide that callback. But now we've got to go back and actually update our configuration file. So let's come down here. Where we set the callback? Here we go. Let's go ahead and change that to 14. That's going to be our config for this. All right, so what is it saying that it wanted to do? So it's making some changes, issues the test execution order. So PyTest collects all files alphabetically, runs... Oh, so it's running verification before it runs the other ones. So now what it's going to do is it's going to namespace, or it's going to index them, right? So yes, go ahead and move those files to a numerical order instead of an alphabetical order. Yeah, Tragic, it's a pretty thorough extermination of Defender. So one time on a work laptop, I accidentally ran that on the laptop instead of in the virtual machine. This is why over here, when I said I'm going to change the background so I make sure it looks different from like what the default is because the background in my VM and the background on my desktop were identical, and I didn't realize which one I was working in, and I nuked, with this tool, Defender off my work laptop. Now, our internal IT guy, because I don't fix stuff, I break stuff, right? He was so smooth, and he's like, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this. He found a way to unscrew that pooch and get it working again. It was wild. So yeah, it's a very thorough tool. All right, let me come back over here to this payload. Wait, why now we have two of them? Ooh, interesting. Oh, it must have rerun it. Okay, so connection, payload generation, and download all pass. The upload fails. Mythic register file returns a string. The file ID directly, not a dictionary. So we got to check the API. So now it's doing a test on it. Nice. Who the hell can untie the Gordian knot? Our internal IT guy can. And he's also really awesome. So we've got a really cool policy where every 3 years your laptop cycles. And essentially they don't want it back. So I was in our home office and I was talking to him about it, and I was telling him about Agent Zero's ThinkPad that I got him. It was freaking, I mean, it obviously wasn't new, right? But it was new to him. The motherboard died on it like after a week. It's a big bummer. So he's like, oh, hang on a second. Goes and pulls out this HP laptop. He's like, I was like, let me make sure I wiped the drive on this and he can have this. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, it was turned in. It's more than 3 years old, so company policy is we can't use it anymore. And typically that user didn't want to keep it. So I was like, so I was able to get a new laptop for Agent Zero that way. And actually, the laptop I have now, that Dell, is not bad, except it's running Windows 11. If I was to put Linux on that, it'd actually be a pretty nice little laptop. So a couple more years, I'll be able to wipe that laptop and hopefully switch back to a Mac. Because I'm not doing very much on my laptop locally. We've got hosted servers where we're running almost everything. So I want to switch back to a Mac whenever I can. But I got to wait about 2 more years for that. Okay, cool. Integration tests are running. Nice. Let's go check Mythic again. All right, so we've got new payloads up here. We need to make sure it's going to delete these payloads back off. And actually, I'm going to tell it that the payload needs to have some kind of like a date time index to it, the name here, because I want to make sure I know like which one did it just create. In theory, these should have been in more or less date order. This one, and then this one, this one, this one. But I want to be able to like see it at a glance. I don't want to have to go dig through the metadata to find it. All right, we're going to let this run for just a second here. Let's go look on the Windows box, though. Because where it should be... That was not what I wanted to do. How did I do that? Let's see. New File Explorer. Because this should go into... Let's see. Users and local user. We should see it like right in here once it uploads to this box. So we don't see the test payload.exe in here. I'm going to go by date modified. So it should show up kind of like right up here at the top after it actually loads up into here. So now it should be doing callback verification. So something else we can look at is we go to the callback. We see what commands have been running here. All right, cool. So it's trying to, look at that. It's trying to actually get the upload up to it. So it's working through it. It's working through it. We're going to let it figure out where it fails. Because I want to see exactly how far we can push this. because this is not a super complicated test case, right? I see a lot of people. And so there we go. So that's the problem, is it's not recognizing that command there. Yep. Because here's how it should look, right? If I do shell here and I do like a, I think it's control enter. No, shift enter. Well, it would normally pull up like a modal in here. But whenever we run this, right? If I look at this and I come over to, where is it? Toggle browser script? No, that's not it. Copy original params to the clipboard, right? And I drop them in here. This is what it looks like, right? So it's trying to do it. However, when you're interacting with it, it's trying to mix modes in here. It's trying to mix what's happening from the UI perspective versus what happens on the backend perspective. And it's because of the way it built the plugin. So I was expecting this to happen. That's okay, because all this testing and building these integration tests is so that we can actually go build the proper plugin system for it. So it's trying to see, did it get a new callback? It did not. Okay, so here we see the connection part passed, payload gen, deployment, everything passed, except the callback part failed. Timeout, no new callback appeared. And so during the callback, it looks like it failed because if we come look at this, right? What it's trying to do is it's trying to delete that part right there. See that? It thinks it like I said, it's trying to mix modes in here. This is what it looks like in the background, right? Here. So for example, if we come over here and we just take this part out. It's like, for example, take this out. It's meant to be user-friendly right here. It's going to process this. It's going to say it failed because this file doesn't exist. Oh, I screwed that up. Hang on. Delete that. See, could not find it right here. Okay, I want to see how well it can reason out of this. I'm going to tell it, hey, go look at callback 14 and look at the structure of this and then figure out where it failed in the Apollo execution. Check the task for callback 14. Actually, hold on. We can actually tell it what specific task to look at, too. This was task 35. Check callback 14, task 35. Task 35 for the correct syntax to attempt deleting the payload. We'll need to compact here in just a second because we're already at 76%. Right. Oh, we don't? Oh, that's a failure then. I don't have a direct MCP tool to fetch this. Let me see what we do have. So we can get the callback. Oh, see, that's a big oversight. We need it to be able to look at what it's doing. Interesting also that it noted, for some reason, this is not an MCP problem. This is a Mythic problem. I don't get why it specified this as Windows 10 Enterprise. This should be Windows 11. Let's see, Control O. There we go. There we go. Yes. Okay, so I think as part of this, we'll actually probably need to do another. we'll need to tell it, hey, you need to go create an MCP tool for reading the individual tasks that are happening in here. Brains full. Hey, no problem, man. We got about 30 more minutes in the stream, then we're going to wrap it up for tonight. Like I said, a lot of this is testing because I see so many people building software that they plan to provide for like mass distribution with AI coding. Theo being, you know, obviously the biggest one of them. And I think he's the only one that I know that's actually shipping something in that respect with his T3 chat. But I don't know anybody who's actually shipping code that they're having the agents run it entirely. So I'm curious about this. This is a little bit of an exploratory mission. That's what's happening here. You guys ever have issues with IQ? I just checked and I'm at 138 and I need to slow down. I need to slow down for people. I don't have that problem, brother. I think I'm rocking like a solid room temp IQ.
Caution. A virus has been detected.
Jigsaw fault trades virus detected in the network.
It's the Jex virus. What's up, guys? Welcome in, Raiders. We're tinkering around with a little bit of command and control and vibe coding an MCP server to talk to it. So we're just having a good old time. Actually, we're building an integration test now. We set up a couple of test boxes and we're having it go through and build testing suites for uploading and downloading, making sure all the interactions are actually running. So it's a lot of fun. And we just noticed there's a gap in here where we need to go add the ability for it to read the tasks that have been happening in here. Okay, so what did it, so it found the error that was happening in here. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. So it realized we're missing a tool of the MCP server to go read the task. So the task will be assigned to a particular callback as they run. But when that happens, it didn't have a way to read it directly. So that's pretty cool because it actually came through and said, okay, fine. I'm just going to run a GraphQL query to go get the task list and then look at it. Okay, I need to make sure and add that to the to-do list. Dude, I try to just, I want people to come in and just have like a chill time and let's just build and break some stuff together. I've been doing it for a long time. I like doing it. It's fun. Be good friends if I lived there. I know what, I'm such a shut-in these days practically. I mean, there are days when I just don't leave the house. I'm jealous of the kids because they get to leave the house, but like I work from home. And then end of the day, I get off work and pretty much just kind of spend a couple hours with the kids, or actually spend like 1 hour with the kids and then get them dinner and then get them into bed and then I work some more. And so there will be like, let's see, usually Mondays, I don't leave the house. Tuesdays, I go to a thing up at my church. Wednesdays, I don't leave the house because I stream. Thursdays is way up in the air. Fridays is way up in the air. Saturdays, we're typically at the motocross track. And then Sundays I go to church. So there are multiple days there where like if nothing's going on, I just don't leave the house. There we go. So task 35 used the run command, not shell. The parameters showed here, which Apollo translated internally as command scdel. Okay. Now I also need to check the command. So it checks the task output. Key finding upload is here. The test I ran just did show the upload is passed. That means the issue task returned without error, even though Mythic reported error processing the argument. So the wait for complete may have been... Oh, return the task without raising it. So it's going to fix our integration test here. Apollo's upload command expects a parameter name of file, not file ID. So the file needs to be passed via file IDs or on issue tasks, and the parameter name has to be changed. Okay. These are all the different pieces that we wanted to track. So upload is pass the file as a parameter key, not as a remote path. Include file IDs, execution cleanup. Okay, cool. So we fixed the upload, the execution, and the cleanup. So yes, run it again. Let's do it. I think I need to actually, I had it on my to-do list to remove that song because that song's a little too harsh. It's harshing my vibe. Last time I had to deal with real code, I only had to deal with memory leaks and sanitizing the inputs to an API. Bobby drop tables. I love that one. Oh yes, little Bobby tables. Maybe next time you should sanitize your inputs. There was a funny story about that though, tragedy, where a guy put a SQL query on over his bumper, like above his license plate, and it did that. The automatic license plate readers dropped their tables. It was funny. Yeah, so Dirk, we usually do cross-country and motocross four-wheel racing. And so we were supposed to go to a motocross track today, but unfortunately Agent Zero hurt his hand. I'm not riding currently. I've hurt my back very badly last January. So I've been going through a very long rehab process. I'm finally back to the point where I can actually start exercising again. So I need to rebuild some musculature. And then I'll be able to, I'm probably going to have to get a girdle of some kind, something to help stabilize my core when I'm riding. So it's probably going to be at least 6 more months before I get back to riding. I'm not broken. I was broken. There's a difference, Gumby. I used to run a Kawasaki 400. Oh, nice. Dude, so Agent Zero right now is riding a DRR 50cc, but it's a too fast 50, and so it puts out quite a bit of power. He can almost hang with the 90cc two strokes. He's got a lot of get to it, and it handles really well. So I've tried to work with him more on like leaning into the turns. He's got the idea, but he just leans his upper body. He doesn't like shift his butt and like hang that leg and like really get after it. So I'm still working with him on that though. But dude, he gets so freaking fast. Especially, I think he really likes motocross better than cross country. But Agent Zero is 7. He's been riding since he was about 4.5. But dude, there's some kids that are like in his age bracket. They're like in the 7-8-year-old range, and they're running 90cc two strokes. And those kids were getting after it this last race, and it was freaking cold. It was like 32 degrees, 33 degrees when they were racing. Agent Zero comes off the track, and poor kid, I had him bundled up too. I had him with layers. He had 2 pairs of gloves on, but it was still cold. He comes out, and he's just got snot dripping out of his nose because it's the only thing that's uncovered, right? So he's getting frozen as he's racing through there. He did such a good job, though, especially since we missed all of the 2025 race season because of various life issues and my back getting obliterated. But he needed a race to go shake the cobwebs off and get some confidence back. And that's what this race was. And it was not a difficult track, but the conditions sucked. And he went after it. I had to coax him a bit. He really wanted to bail out. I was like, no, buddy, you got to do this. And he buckled down and he hit it hard. He did so good. And he's going to have some actual competition starting next race because there's a little girl who's about 7 or 8 joining his class. She's going to be riding a 50cc because he rides in the 50cc mod class. So he's in a pretty modified 2-stroke, right? So yeah, I was really happy to get back out to the races. Everybody missed us. It was really good to get to see everybody again. It's just like a giant fair out there. Not even really giant, but like everyone, it's really cool because it's a nice community. Everybody knows each other. The kids basically just form a roving pack of marauders, and they go to each of the different camps and accost them for snacks. And it's a great time. And man, I see the adults racing out there. I'm like, whew, I'm gonna back off of that. I was riding a Yamaha Blaster for a while. I then had stepped up to a YZ450, but That one, it was super modified, and it was not too much for it. It's just, it was not customized for me, and it was too much. I really, really liked the blaster. So when I get back to riding, I got to do some maintenance on the blaster. I'm gonna start riding that again. That was my happy zone, was riding in the blaster. I loved that bike. It was light enough that I could like really kind of maneuver it. All right, so where do we fail now? Let's see. Test execution supposedly passed, but no C2 callback. So let's go check that real quick. Oh, you know what? I think it's because I think I screwed up the configuration here. Oh, what did it try to do here? Hold on, let's go back. So we ended around task 35. This was the one that I ran. Yeah, let me tag this real quick. Edit tags. Let's add a new one. Can I... No, I need to... Hang on. Let me look at the tagging system real quick here. Where's our tags? Tags. Add a new tag. We'll make this... we'll make it purple, because it's my favorite color. Purple. This was user. Okay. User executed command. Submit. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over into that callback, and task 35, I'm going to tag this as user executed. There we go. Submit. There we go. So now I'll see this. I can instantly see which one was the last command I ran when I was doing this. My little guy's 5 and says, "Wow, Daddy, that's so cool," pointing at the cool bikes. Aw. I bet the neighbors love the sound of the two-strokes with the kids riding them. Where my father-in-law lives, yes. Where I live, all the bikes stay at his place because he's actually got a workshop in the back. I live in your typical urban quarter-acre plot, right? So, but the neighbors that are over there, yeah, sometimes we'll have the kids riding the bikes around the house. And because there's a little bit of a loop that they can do around our house and the neighboring house, and the neighbor doesn't care. They're really cool. And so they'll do loops around there. And yeah, the neighbors will come out and like, "Whoa, look at him go." But they're almost getting too fast to like not even be able to do that anymore. Oh wait, did this one says it ran. So hold on, let's go look at the box. Do we have a test payload up and running here? Let's see. Where's our task manager? Let's see, where's processes? Details. No, details. Test payload is running. Okay, cool. It probably, let's go look at the metadata for the payload, because I bet it I bet it didn't use the proper C2 profile. Actually, I bet I screwed it up. Let's go look at it real quick. Because the C2 profile, I think, is... Where do we specify that? In the payloads, I believe. Yeah, here we go. C2 profile. Okay. Apollo test payload for Windows targets. Okay. Let's go check and see how that is supposed to be specified in here. Actually, I think that should be good. Callback should be port 80 on here. I think that was the problem. And I bet if we go look at the server here, go look at the payloads. This was the last one created. If we check the the payload configuration here. Yeah, see, it's supposed to go to HTTPS here. So that is absolutely, and it's going to port 443. So that's totally not correct. Yeah, so we need to modify that. Yep. All right, hold on. I need to modify it down here. Let me bin this. Here we go. So this needs to get out, And there we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and compact this real quick. Let's see. I'm also going to be getting Forza, now that I know the real thing, but it's so relaxing. Getting a Forza... Hold on. I've actually only heard of the Forza video game. Were you talking about the video game there? All right, let this compact for just a second here. And sorry, I don't know what you were asking about the background, Dirk. Let's see. Speaking of bikes, by the way, so like I said, Agent Zero is doing really good on his 50cc. I want him to get more used to getting some of the jumps on the motocross track before I step him up to a 90. But I've got a 90cc like already basically prepped for him and set aside. We built it for one of my other nephews, but he decided he didn't really like riding. So it's one that's already built out and tricked. So he's just setting off the side. Forza 750? I haven't seen that. Oh. I didn't know Honda had anything that they were producing with the Forza name. Okay. Neat. Looks pretty cool. 750 will boogie pretty good too, especially for a scooter. Oh, sorry, no, Gobi, I didn't see it. Let's see. $110 comment? I did not. I didn't even see what you sent, Gumby. I apologize. They're super relaxing. I'm getting old. Dude, I just turned 42 last month.
Sound off like you got a pair.
Ah, you're full of crap. Full of crap, killer. All right, let's see here. Let's see. I had an error in the config YAML for the integration test. Let's run it again. Actually, hold on. Before running it, let's update the test payload name to contain a basic numeric date timestamp in the payload name for tracking. I got a payload for you. Ooh woo. 42 is the magic number. Dude, we got my father-in-law, he's been riding motocross probably since he was he's 62 now, I think. Because he's like almost exactly 20 years older than me. We almost share a birthday, very close to each other. And so my father-in-law has been riding motocross for probably 30 or 40 years, probably closer to 40 years. And he gets out there and they don't have a 60 plus class. So he's riding in the 40 class and he's still hanging with those guys. And there was, I forget how many people were in his race class. I want to say it was 6 or 7. And he finished 3rd in that group. I mean, so for racing against the 40 somethings, people old enough to literally be his kids, right? And still coming in like 2nd or 3rd, I think he's doing a pretty damn good job. Dude, I didn't graduate from college, Killa, until I was 30, almost 31, because I graduated in December. My birthday's in January, so I was almost 31 when I graduated from college. I was a late bloomer. But I worked in IT the whole time I was in college. So by the time I graduated, because I did a bunch of courses and I did a lot of IT courses at a junior college, and then I transferred to TCU where I got my bachelor's. And so I'd been in school for like 5 years to get a bachelor's, taking the really long route, right? But when I graduated, I had 5 years of IT experience also. So it worked out very nicely whenever I was done. So added a stamp file name to insert a UTC timestamp before the file execution. Okay, cool. The on-disk upload path to the target says it's configured in the YAML since it's the actual execution path. That's fine. I don't care about that. I care about the one that was actually when we generate it. Okay, run integration test. Let's see what it does here. Let's go back over to the callback. So this was the last one it ran, was task 40 right here. So we'll let task 40 run. Actually, something really cool you can do in Mythic. I hadn't showed you all this. You can actually come over and you can change the tasking view to a split task like this. So this way you can see what's run, but then the output actually shows up over here whenever it executes. So we'll be able to see what it does in two different views. It's just a little bit of handy UI sugar. Right now, we're going to let the integration test here run in the main context. So when it's running bash like this, it's filling up our context window, right? Eventually what we'll do is we'll break this out into an agent. We'll let this run in the background, and we'll have it just give us a summary report of what passed, what failed, and what the error was that caused the failure. And that way we can preserve all of this information flooding the context. We can strip it down so we have longer times before we have to compact or clear the context in here. Oh, I absolutely read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Everyone who rides, though, has had some sort of serious accident. Dude, everybody. It's just part of the game. I had to tell Agent Zero that because he's had a couple, and he's learned the hard way, but he keeps getting after it. He's got a lot of perseverance in him. All right, so it says it ran some new tasks. Let's go see what it did here. So it looks like it's not liking what we're running in here. System cannot find the files path specified. Oh, okay, actually that's fine because test payload shouldn't exist up there. And then what about the upload? The process cannot access test payload because it's being used by another process. What? Oh, shoot, it is. We had a dangling process in here. Hold on. Let me see. I need to end process. Boop. Okay. No, we need to add another check before executing the test payload. To kill any process with the test payload's name. Because what happened is it ran, but we had an error in the configuration, so it was trying to call back to the server on the wrong port, and that process was still dangling in there. So it tried to delete the executable, but the executable was in use because it was still running in memory. Oh, Kilo, that's really cool. Oh, by the way, the difference, the best theory I've actually heard, if you are a Douglas Adams fan, and why there's so many differences between the various versions of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, it's because I forget the name of the probability drive that runs the ship, because it changes everything as it goes forward. It's changing the universe, so every every movie adaptation is different, because I think it was called The Ship Heart of Gold, if I remember the name right. It's been a long time since I read those books. Is changing probabilistically in the universe and changing the way the movie adaptation comes across. I love that. That's my new headcanon for the various movies. The last movie they did for Hitchhikers was okay. The book's really good though. It's so absurd. Actually, I need to check one more thing. I need to look at the payload it just made. Okay, cool. So these are all good. Let's go ahead and I want to nuke these off the box real quick. Delete payload from disk. Delete payload from disk. No, not like that. Delete. Delete. And delete. I'm going to leave this one just for now because I don't think it's going to need it. Was that guy spamming Gumby? Oh, it's a bot account? Gotcha. Thanks, man. All right, Dirk. Have a good night, man. Take care. We're going to wrap up here in just a few more minutes. I want to see how far we can push the integration test here and see if we can at least get it to complete successfully. But we only got about 5-10 more minutes left in the stream. I unfortunately got to go back to my regular job in the morning. I say unfortunately, I actually really like where I work. I wish ads for base 44 would not show up. They hurt my brain. Yeah. It's only 2/3 as good as base 64, man. Yeah, unfortunate for the stream. I do like the folks I work with. I have daydreams that someday they'll just let me become like hype man. You know, kind of like how John Hammond is for Huntress. That would be me. But at the same time, it's like, actually, I try to keep the company. It's not like it's a big secret. Anybody can see where I work if they look up on LinkedIn. But at the same time, I do try to keep them separate. So work, stream, I try to keep like a little bit of a firewall between the two of them. Okay, that one failed. Hold on, how were we? Okay, the cleanup payload worked. Did it? Okay, we'll go check and see what it did here in just a second. I just went to McDonald's and locked myself out of the house. Oh no. Dude, it's funny. Anytime somebody says they don't understand what a penetration tester does, like when I don't usually tell people that's what I do. I tell them that I am an IT consultant. And then as I get to know them better, and I know they're not going to make stupid jokes about penetration test, or they're not going to look at me like, don't hack my email. I'm like, bro, you can't afford my hourly rate. But I'll tell them what I really do. But for the most part, I tell people that I'm an IT consultant. But then when they ask, like, okay, what does a penetration tester actually do? I use the example of, have you ever locked yourself out of your house? Yeah. Okay. You know every flaw in your home's security and potentially ways you could get in without your key, right? Congratulations. You're now a penetration tester for your house. And that's exactly what I do. I just do it with computers instead of your house. And I go to somebody's new network every couple of weeks. Yeah. Dude, I live by analogy, man. Live by it. Okay, hold on. I'm not going to do that. I need some water, though. Oh, both those accounts linked to that. What is that site? Oh, they're shilling their Twitch, their view botters. Yeah, get them out of here. Okay, get all task output by ID. Hold on, where's it editing this? Oh, it's editing in the helpers command.py. Okay. All right, cool. So it's going through, it's making updates to allow the integration test to run. However, I think we're going to have to go fix the integration test after we fix the plugin. So I think kind of the current workflow of what we're going to be doing here is going to look something like this. So right now, we've got the integration test running, right? So our integrations are running. Once those are good, though, then we can actually start working on the real plugin system. However, right now the integration tests have dirty hacks in them. So once the plugin is done, we're actually going to have to loop back around to the integration test and go fix them to use the actual plugin system. So we're going to let the dirty hacks sit for now. We'll go have it craft up the proper plugin system. Once that's all working, then we're going to redo the integration test to use the actual data from the plugin. Oh, Legacy, did I miss a message from you? I did not. Okay. What is DB6? I know you're about to have to take off, but I got to know what that is so I can understand the context, because I like the idea of where you're going with it. So it sounds like you've got a suite of agents that you've got, like mapping intent paths, verifying constraints, harvesting verified code, and pruning bloat. And then you've got one that's going to take care of diffs and shim them in. Oh, a military battle drill. Oh, okay. I am so good friends with so many military folks, especially Marines. I don't know what it is, but like me and Marines, I just get along with them so well. So many of my good friends are Marines. And anyway, I'm surprised I haven't heard of DB6 before. Or BD6, I mean. Rah. So like one of my very good buddies who, like I talk about hackers all the time with him. Marine guy, a bunch of guys I used to work with were all Marines, and now there's a disproportionate number of like all the armed forces, like veterans that we've got at my company. There's a disproportionately high number of Marines in the company, and so they let me come along. I tell them straight up, I was like, "Hey guys, I'm just here like fangirling," but they love it. They let me come hang out with them. They're just freaking awesome folks. One of them told me, it's like, yeah, I think you've got a bit of the tism. That's probably why we get along so well. I freaking love my jarheads. They're my favorite folks. I think the reputation of the dumb Marine comes in, Gumby, because they're looking at intelligence in the wrong way. Cav Scout, hell yeah. Cav Scouts, you don't want to mess with the Cav Scouts, dude. They're gonna take you out from 3 miles away, and you're never gonna see it. But yeah, so I forgot what I was saying. Hold on, I might be mixing my terms up here. Yeah, Cav Scouts are the anti-armor. I was making sure I had my thinking correct. If you ain't Cav, you ain't. I was part of the Fearless Chair Force. Dude, I'll be honest with you. If they had Space Force back in the day, that probably would have drawn me in. The absolute closest I ever came to any kind of military anything was I was in junior ROTC in high school, and I had fully intended on enlisting in the Air Force, and I just couldn't make myself do it. I pussed out. So I had a lot of other issues with it, but like obviously my eyes are real jacked up, my back is all jacked up, and I actually didn't learn about like proper nutrition and exercise till I was well into adulthood. So I was constantly kind of overweight in high school until about junior year. That's when I discovered martial arts, and I was like exercising 20 hours a week at the martial arts school. I was up there 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. And but even then I was like, then I kind of made the excuse like, oh, I want to go finish my black belt. And I did do that, and it just became one thing after another, and I never ended up enlisting. So part of me says I wish I had, and another part of me says I've got a really awesome family now, and I love my kids. And there's this, I came up with this idea, right? I was trying to understand like what was the difference after my first son was born, and I realized I was not really willing to mentally time travel back to before he was born, because I wouldn't want to risk anything that would prevent him from being born. So I wish I had, but at the same time, I don't regret not having enlisted, because I like everything that I have now with my family and everything. I would never want to like have the ability to time travel back and go do that. Oh, I know that the AI is just sitting here churning on these tests. Oh, Gubby, I didn't know you were air cavalry. That's sweet. Parents said no school loans for you, so only choice was to work at McDonald's or the Air Force. I think you made the right call, man. All right, Legacy, have a great night, brother. Yeah, I wanted to see where this was going to go. I was hoping to get the integration test done. It looks like it's passing for the most part. Let's pop into the Mythic server. We see it just spinning up payloads. It's just going... It's going full JSON born on us. Dude, we're getting callbacks. Let's freaking go. Oh, yeah. Oh, snap. Hey, good. It's killing them, too. Look at that. So this one was 6 minutes ago, 4 minutes ago, a minute ago, 7 seconds ago. Looks like it killed it. It's happening. Things are doing. Did it hide the callback? We just had an 18 in here, didn't we? Oh, there we go. I see what it's doing. Okay. Hide callback. Hide callback. Let's get rid of some of these. Let's freaking go. Okay. 10 out of 10 passed. Okay. Let's commit that. Oh, Legacy. I forgot to say, thanks for the gifted sub, man. Or as I like to call them, gifting shells. I know you already had to take off, but I appreciate it, dude. That's awesome. Okay. We're going to go ahead and commit this. We're going to keep working on this feature branch, though. Yeah, go ahead and push it. Don't merge or PR. Let's freaking go. Yep. So we'll finish up next Saturday. So Wednesday, we'll do the new stream like usual. Next Saturday, we'll keep working on the integration test. And once those are good, we'll start into the plugin system. Yes. I got an ad for Jif peanut butter milk bones. They know my weakness is dog treats. Oh, that's funny. I wonder where Peaches is. She's normally over here. She's probably stalking Sock right now. She's her Sock is her second favorite person. All right. I do need to wrap up there. Let's go see who's online that we can go raid over to. If you've got a raid suggestion, feel free to shout them out. Let's see. Also, if you like all sorts of hacking content here, go check out infosecstreams.com. It does a pretty good job. Sometimes it misses folks whenever they're online, but there are people in here constantly, especially during the daytime, sitting up here doing all sorts of hacking stuff. They might be doing CTFs. They might be doing reverse engineering, all sorts of great stuff. So go check out infosecstreams.com. Unfortunately, CyberDoc is on, but I don't know what he's usually working on very, very basic stuff. I don't want to discourage him, but I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to discourage him because he's working in the beginning of his journey there. Let's see who's on that we might be able to go raid over to. Let's see. Hectic is on, but she's over doing Arc Raiders some more. She's chilling. Who else we got? Science is on. I see Nerduino's on too if we wanted to go do a space raid. He's an awesome dude. All right, Sans, thanks for stopping in, man. I appreciate it. Oh, by the way, everybody, like I was saying earlier, Wednesday night we'll do Hacker News. We're gonna go check out various news articles and look and see what they're doing. Any new tooling that we can find coming up. I don't know if we'll see if Bad Sector Labs is back up, but usually I've been keeping track of my own news stories now. But I always like to fall back to them if it's coming up. Let's see. Adam's on. Could have always go right over to him. Actually, you know what? Coppinger's on. He's been on for a long time, too. Let me see what he's doing real quick.
So I want to stage the stuff we have here, right?
Yeah. It looks like he's still working away. So we'll go right over to Coppinger. Because he raided over to us last night. That was a good solid for him. All right, guys. Unfortunately, that's where I've got to end it. Let's see. What was it? Oh, yes. Also, yeah, if you like this other kind of stuff, check out Simply Cyber. They usually do a morning cybersecurity stream over on YouTube, I think. Maybe on Twitch also. But everyone, y'all take care. Y'all have a fantastic night. I appreciate all y'all coming to hang out. Tomorrow's Monday. It may already be Monday, depending on your time zone. So if that's the case, you are either to prepare or have already engaged in crushing it mode for the week. I want y'all to get out there, absolutely BTFO this week, and beat it like a drum, like it owes you money. And that's all I got for you guys. Y'all take care. I want y'all to get out there, crush it this week. I'll see y'all on Wednesday for the new stream. And remember one very important thing, which I mean absolutely from the bottom of my heart. This is not lip service. This is from the heart service. And that is, I love ya. Peace.